Earth is home to many creatures. Some may even consider a few of them monsters. But what of those more elusive and hidden creatures? The ones we just can't seem to find. Welcome to Monday Morning Monsters. Cryptozoologist and paranormal researcher Barnaby Jones talks about the unknown, mythical, undiscovered, and unidentified creatures from around the world, and the people who have seen them, look for them, and research them. Hear from witnesses about their encounters, as well as renowned names in the field about their work and research. Barnaby is the founder and lead investigator for Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, based in Wisconsin. CAPS travels across Wisconsin and beyond, looking for connections between different phenomena and how they can all be connected. Now, your host of Monday Morning Monsters, Barnaby Jones.
Good morning, monsters. It is another day here in Wisconsin. We have an amazing guest on here, a very humble teacher who has a lot of weird encounters and strange things to talk about. And I actually had the honor and privilege of going out to his property and checking it out ourselves with our team. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit here. I'm a little hoarse this morning. Up first, guys, just a reminder, all of our shows, we have a brand new series on Paraflix, on the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts. That is out now. And brand new episodes of that stream exclusively on Paraflix every other Friday. You can use the promo code CAPS10 to get 10% off your first 3 months with Paraflix. And if you want to show your support for my show here, Monday Morning Monsters, as well as our other show, Whispers from the Dark, or any of our other documentaries and series, you can get all of your CAPS apparel and gear at our website, wisconsincaps.com. Click on Shop Our Store, or the direct link is at the bottom there, tpublic.com/user/Wisconsin Caps. You can get t-shirts and hoodies, sweatshirts, magnets, mugs, tote bags, tank tops, pillows, and much more with any of the logos and stuff that you see there. While online, make sure you go over to all of our social media accounts. Patreon, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find us Wisconsin Caps. You can also find Whispers from the Dark podcast and Monday Morning Monsters on Facebook. They have their own pages as well, or WI Caps on Instagram. Want to remind everyone else about our Patreon account. Coming this spring is the Ghost Lab project from CAPS. So go check that out. Subscribe to our Patreon because this is going to be really cool. It is what I like to call a mix between ghost hunters and mythbusters. So looking forward to showing you what we got going on there. The Ghost Lab Project, patreon.com/Wisconsin Caps. Coming up in just a couple weeks here in March is our first festival of the year. We are going to be in Mason, Ohio at the first ever Frogman Festival. If you want to know more about this festival, tune into last week's episode where we had the creator of this on, and he was talking about all the Map in Black and the Frogman Festival. And if you want to check more about that, go check out that episode. And later in March, we are going to South Carolina, the Haunting at the Hagood Mill Paracon, March 24th and through the 26th. That's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great people down there. You don't want to miss that if you're in South Carolina. Then we head to the Salt Fork, Ohio Bigfoot Convention, May 6th, in Salt Fork, Ohio. And we're back up in Wisconsin in the Rhinelander Hodag Heritage Festival, May 20th. Then we head back to Ohio in Canton, Ohio, June 3rd for the Small Town Monsters Monster Fest. A lot of great, look at the lineup here of speakers and presenters that are going to be there. It's going to be a great event. You don't want to miss that. It says Lauren Coleman's going to be there. I'm super excited about that. And then, of course, the CAPS has our Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention, sponsored by CAPS Paraflix and American Ghost Walk Tours. Angela Zabel, psychic medium and teacher, is going to be there giving a gallery reading. And on Saturday, Chad Lewis will be there giving a presentation. Christopher Noel, myself, and I think we have one other presenter that we'll be announcing shortly. Friday night, June 9th, we are going to have a VIP meet and greet dinner. And then Saturday is the vendors and the speakers and the gallery reading. If you want to get involved with that, if you want to come to the dinner, you have to get your VIP ticket in advance because the dinner is a reservation. So we have to make sure that we have enough spots for everyone. Tickets for that are only available until May 15th, I believe. So if you want to get your VIP dinner tickets, you got to get them before that. And then we head up to MI Paracon in August, Sault Ste. Marie, and then back to Pickens Street, South Carolina. The other one's in Pickens. And then finally, Glen Beulah, Wisconsin, we are going to be at the Great Lakes Paranormal Convention. All right, guys, that is where we're going to be this year. So if you guys want to come out and check out any of that stuff, feel free. All of those events are at wisconsincaps.com and click on public events. But at this time, we are all set. Very good. You got your tickets to the Marinette Conference. Awesome. Can't wait to see you there. If you guys have any questions for our guest, I want to remind you this is a live show today. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section on the chosen platform that you are watching on today. My guest today, let's welcome. He was just featured a little while ago, most recently on Expedition X with Josh Gates. That had to be fun. Let's bring him up, Lee Hampel. Lee, thanks for being on the show. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me. And I love the name. But Monday Morning Monster, that's a cool name. We have Triple M here. Very good.
Absolutely.
Doing fine. And thank you for inviting me on your show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. And might I say, thank you again for having us out to your property to do our investigation. It was a very, very interesting night and very interesting.
Was that 2019?
I think so. I think it was that would have been. I think it was 2019. Yeah, fall of 2019.
Yeah, before the COVID. We didn't have masks on. So I think, it was enjoyable having you guys out there. And of course, your Wisconsin Skinwalker Ranch, I think is the name of it on YouTube, had many, many views, and it looks very popular. The comments are very positive about it. And you had many experiences out there that have occurred many times.
Absolutely. So for those of you out there listening and stuff that don't know who Lee is, Lee, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, and how you came to own the property and where you own your property?
Sure. I live in Wakanda, Illinois. It's like 35 miles south of Elkhorn. And I was a math teacher here at the Wakanda High School for 35 years, teaching everything from basic math through AP Calculus. And I also taught computer science. I taught computer programming in basic and basic plus languages. And I retired in 2000. When I retired, my wife and I, we have a horse farm. We had a horse farm here in Wakanda. We had 20 of our own horses that we had a riding academy that we had 50 riders a week come to, and we had 20 boarding horses. I was baling hay at my mother's property, which would have been southwest of Wakanda, and I knew that at some point that I would lose that land upon my mother's passing, which she passed in 2010, bless her soul. And so in 2007, I was looking for property mainly in southern Wisconsin. I was over Janesville and over towards Kenosha area. And I found this property in 2007 and purchased a 35 acres, a little bit 5 miles east of Elkhorn. And I didn't start farming until 2010. Neighbor farmed it on shares for 2 years, and Then my mother passed away, and I started farming there in 2010. I didn't know anything about the Beast of Bray Road, nor did I have any interest in anything Beast of Bray Road. Never heard of a dog man in my life. I had heard of Bigfoot, obviously, and I'd seen some of the films, that one film that Patterson film, but it was a passing thing, and I just didn't have interest in it. I was either teaching math or trying to keep the horses fed and giving kids lessons. So it wasn't until 2013 that I was farming. I was baling hay up there, and I had two neighbor men help me, and we got done baling, and we stood at the end of my shed, which would have been looking west at my farm. And the one of them said, the werewolf lives back on your property. Yeah, I go, the werewolf lives back on my property. Said, your eyes are brown, And he goes, no. They started naming all the farmers that had seen it, and I knew them, And I, what are you talking about, And he said my wife saw it, and then and my mother-in-law saw it on Bowers Road, but it's called the Beast of Bray Road, and my farm is on Bowers Road, but the back end of my farm is a half mile to the west end of my farm, and that's just a quarter mile from Bray Road. And there's just a woods in between my farm and Bray Road. And so he was telling me about this one farmer who I knew. He had actually share farmed with me for those 3 years, and about the raccoon. He's seen it eating a raccoon on Bray Road. So a couple of days later, I happened to find a raccoon and on Bowers Road, and I'll take that and throw that in the back of my property. So in September 2013, I took the raccoon back there and dropped it into this 3-foot tall grass on my fence line on the west end of my property. I went back a couple days later, and it had been slit open, and all the innards were gone. And I've done a lot of outdoor stuff. I grew up on a farm by, Hampshire, Illinois, and I'd done hunting and I've been outdoors a lot. And the only thing could do that would be a hawk. Maybe could get down in there, but I don't know how the hawk could get the innards out. Well, then I went back a couple of days later, and now that raccoon is out of that nest, I'll call it, and there's no pass. The grass is not knocked down at all, and the raccoon's 15 feet away in a little pile. And I go, okay, a hawk can't do this, And so now we're 10 years later, 20 cameras later. I put out deer and they've been carried away, and the raccoon was carried away, and lights come and mist come, and I've had a large number of technology problem. I have 100,000 pictures on my computer, and most of them have paranormal activities on them. And now you ask me, is there a 6.5, 7-foot dog man walking around on my property by Bray Road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin? I'd say yes. And if you'd have told me that I was going to say that 10 years ago, you'd have my wife, my dog, my chainsaw, my pickup truck, because there was no way that anything like that was possible. But yes, it's walking around on my property and by Bray Road in Elkhorn, Wisconsin.
Wow. Yeah, I tell you, whenever we do investigations with my team, we always go in skeptical. Whether we believe in it or not, you take it with a grain of salt, and you hear all these stories. The first day that we came out to your property, we didn't even investigate. We actually rode around in the truck with you for about 3 hours, just around the perimeter of your property. And for 3 hours, we heard every story, probably not even every story. I mean, let's be honest here. We heard numerous stories and looked at pictures on your phone and saw the evidence of, like after we went back up to your shed and stuff, saw this, basket of evidence of physical things that you had found and footprint casts and stuff. And even, I mean, this is completely overwhelming at this point. And, we made the documentary for our series on our YouTube called The Wisconsin Skinwalker Ranch. And it's no coincidence that we named it that, because, as we've said, you have the gambit of stuff going on out there. It's not just the Dogman entity, whatever that is. There's lights in the sky and orbs and the galloping lights video that you see in the episode that you filmed, and
UFOs.
And UFOs. Yeah, we had a very interesting experience with that as well on your property, and the technological stuff that goes wrong on the property with cameras and things. And I mean, it's just overwhelming. The whole property itself there is just, very akin to what you see at Skinwalker Ranch and these numerous other properties around the world. So my guess is like, you started this whole thing, like, as you said, being a non-believer, whatever, you don't, a simple school teacher that's trying to farm hay. And, what another thing that lends a lot of credence to this is you're not looking for publicity or anything. You just want answers, right?
Well, right away, yes, because, immediately, activities and I doing my experiments. I started doing experiments right away. And I have a log book. I have albums. I kept, I say, the pictures on the computer. I have hundreds of SD cards. So I approached it from as what a math teacher I think would approach it, as a chemistry minor also. So I approached it from that aspect. And okay, there's, I'm looking at tracks, and right after that raccoon had been moved. In September 2013, I went out into the neighbor's field, which was my field was hay, and his field was corn, and so there was dirt available to look at. And here I'm looking at these tracks that I had never seen before, and nobody has ever seen them since. I mean, I've seen them hundreds and hundreds of times. Those 5-toed, 7-pad tracks. And they're canid. They have toenails on them. And there's no canid in the world, or really no animal in the world, that has the 5-toed, 7-pad tracks like that. There's a cat up in, there you got a picture of it.
There you go.
I've seen that track hundreds and hundreds of times. I followed a half mile. I just had a real good, got to quit mumbling. Okay, let me start. Okay, so I took an area of my field last year and I disked it up and I worked it up, and I have an area that does not have hay on. It's just a strip of land about 10 feet wide. And I've had hundreds of tracks in that strip of land this year. It doesn't have any debris on it. It's very, very available to look at for tracks. And there's the 5-toed, 7-pad tracks. And they're still there 10 years later. And there's several of them. There's a one, this track you're looking at here is 3.5 by 3 inches. There's another smaller one that's like 2.5 by 2, about 3 by 2.5 inches. And then there's another one, a fist type track, that is another one. There's at least 4 or 5 different tracks that I found out there, and tracks are facts. If we were looking at a bear track, you would tell me that there's a bear that made that track.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we're looking at a track that was made by, only thing to be made by is a dog man. I mean, the steps are from 2 to 4 feet apart. It takes 4-foot steps sometimes, and those are facts. Those are facts. That creature is walking on my property, and I've seen it twice. So I've actually seen it in my own eyes twice, and the last time was May 11th. There's a set of tracks, and they're 2 feet apart, and both of them are the 5-toed, 7-pad tracks. Now, people say, well, you're missing tracks in between there because that's too far apart. Well, if you look at that, you're going to say it's bipedal. It's 2 feet apart, and there's no straddle. They're very straight line. In snow, they're absolutely straight line. So you either you say that it's bipedal, or you just go around in circles and make up stuff. I showed this to I talked to the track expert of Illinois, and I took her some of my tracks. I think 2015. She told me there were extra tracks there that in that debris that we couldn't see. And that particular line of tracks, I tracked all the way across the field. So there are no more tracks there. I said, there's no more tracks there. She said, well, there has to be. You don't have enough feet there. I go, okay. I said, well, if it's bipedal. And then she just said, oh, that's not possible. So it's the tracks indicate strongly show that it's a bipedal animal that takes from 2 to 4 foot steps easily. It took 4 foot steps all the way across my field in the snow. I mean, the 4 foot steps all the way across it. That one near.
It's another snow print. I was just showing that, they're year round and stuff here. You were talking about the snow prints.
Sure. Do you have the one where the tape measures 4 foot in the snow?
I have 78 pictures here. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah. I understand. I have 100,000. So.
Yeah, I got what we sent here. I got this one. This is 2 foot again.
Yeah, 2 foot. But you can see again, there's no straddle. They're very straight line. There's no toe drag. He can be walking in 6-8 inch snow and there's no toe drag. He picks his feet up very cleanly. Unlike a coyote or a deer, when you follow them in my field, you see their tracks. They all have toe drags. And when you see these tracks out there, there are no toe drags. Yeah. Oh, okay. That one, no, that looks like that's a coyote.
That's the coyote tracks. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's got toe drag. And,
there's one you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. These are 3 feet apart. These are 3 feet apart, but as long as you got that up there, let me tell you the story. So, my brother Fred and Fred talked to the Natural History Museum in Chicago, and we said, "Who is your track expert?" Because we got tracks we'd like to show them to and talk to them. And so they gave us a name of a gentleman in Montana. So I sent him this picture, and I sent him some other pictures too. And he said all those 5-toed 7-pad ones were double hits, not by the same creature, but by a creature going across it. So I said they're a half mile. I mean, there's another animal that walked across every one of them, and he didn't answer me. But this one here, these are 3 foot apart. Now, he said, "Oh, that's a running coyote." I go, "Well, okay." And then he sent me this diagram here. Now, the grouping is the 4 feet. Now, if you look at the grouping of 4 feet, they're 3 feet apart in this particular one, 3 feet apart, and they're in a straight line. How does a coyote land? Like, let's say the one at the bottom is right front. Then what's the next one? Is left rear? There's right rear, and then, I mean, they're straight line. A grouping is a coyote. They run like a horse. They leap, and then they land, and then they bring their back feet up to their front feet, and then power forward again. And then he said, and the stride goes from left front to left front. He said the stride is that longer one. Well, that's, if you count the space there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a 15-foot stride. A coyote has a 6-foot stride. A cheetah has a 25-foot stride at 70 miles an hour. So he's telling me that this is 2.5 times the length of a normal coyote stride, 6 feet to 15 feet. That's 2.5 times. It doesn't make any sense. And I have tracks that are 4 feet apart. That would be, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'd be 20-foot stride. Well, that coyote's running as fast as a cheetah. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit a coyote at all. Well, I told him, I said, well, you're giving it a 15-foot stride. He told me, you obviously mismeasured. That's what he told me.
I was looking for I have the print that they sent you back where they highlighted what they called the double step.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna throw that one up here.
Sure.
Yep. because I know you're talking about that one. Here's another. Oh, why don't you can talk about this one as well? This is the divergent
Oh,
footprints.
yeah. This is these. I mean, there's, like I said, there's 4 or 5 different prints, and I think several of the same size. Like the most popular is that 3 by 3.5 inch print. But they come. You go out in my field in snow, especially, and you'll see. Okay, here it looks like a track going across all the way across my field. And then if you look up further up there, if you can zoom up ahead there, that single track diverges into 2 tracks. That's actually 2 creatures walking what appears to be a single track. They play games, and they walk all the way across the field like that, exactly in the previous print. Now, if you say, okay, that's 2 coyotes, you have to have 8 legs hit there someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not even possible. That you're not going to have. You have 8 legs hitting there, and first of all, they're straight line and they're about 2 feet apart. A coyote stride is about 15 inches, or a step. I'm sorry, step. The coyote step's about 15 inches. This guy's normal step is from 2 to 3 feet, and sometimes he gets up to 4 feet. But they're walking along, and then there's 2 of them here, unless one morphed into 2. And I've seen this 5 or 6 times in the winter. Not this winter. This winter's been bad with no snow. I've only seen tracks 1 time out there this winter. That was the first snow in January. But I mean, they play games like that. And again, you if you don't admit that it's bipedal, yeah, there's a good picture. If you don't admit that it's bipedal, then you just go around in circles. I mean, 2 4-legged animals cannot do what you're looking at in that picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. When we talk about bipedal strides and stuff, when you have a quadrupedal animal versus a bipedal, there's the stagger of the prints where they're wider apart. You don't see them more straight in front of the other. Like when you're looking down here, you see these footprints are almost right in line with each other here. And even as you go out, they're almost a straight line. There isn't much of a stagger on these 2.
No, they walk like a model. They're right in front of. I mean, that's consistent wherever I see those tracks. That's been consistent for 10 years. That they're right in a line. There's no stagger. They're very much in a line. Yes.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you look on the left here, and I have a lot of. This is one of my better prints. It's hard to get a good picture. Now, if I had a LODAR?
LiDAR, yep.
LiDAR,
yep.
It's like, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 camera. But anyway, I don't have that much. But if you look on the left, that's a real good. If you can see the toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the outside, and the center pad, and the heel pad, and you can see the toenails out on the end. So that it's canid. It's not a feline. And I sent this to the gentleman in Montana, and he sent back. He said, "Oh, that's not a double hit. That's another. That's 2 different animals have one crossed the other one." And he has in the blue the one animal, and then he said a smaller animal crossed it, and that's what he has in the red. Well, he puts. I mean, if you look at the heel pad of the red, that non-existent there. That's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard a little bit tell in the picture, but what we're looking at is actually the concave part. That's a convex right there, where that rib is at between the one toe and the heel pad. There's no pad there, and then he's got these little toes out there. He said, yeah, it's a smaller animal, but then look at the blue one. He's got his blue toe. Let's just take the blue-toed animal, and he's got 1, 2, 3 toes on the left side of the animal, up to 180 from the heel print is the pad, and then on the right side of the print, which we're looking upside down on, but the right side of that print, he has 1 toe. well, what kind of animal has 3 toes on one side and 1 toe on the other side? That makes no sense at all. And plus, I told him that I've tracked this print, a half mile carrying a deer many times, and he said, "Well, he's glad he's able to help me." Okay, I didn't hear any more from him, but that's just nonsense.
Definitely, that's interesting. Yeah, and like you said, it's not like you just had 1 or 2 of these prints. These things, you can follow them across the property on numerous accounts. And if this was just one animal stepping in another animal's prints, what are the odds that you're going to have that, for the length of space that it covered, as well as the numerous times as well. But we gotta pause quick here for a station break, and we will be right back after these messages.
The body code is a revolutionary method of energetic healing developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which allows us to quickly and easily identify specific imbalances that seem to underline chronic ill health, acute and chronic pain and discomfort, dysfunction, and stress. Ellie energetically connects with the subconscious of the client. Psychic medium Ellie Weisensell is a medical intuitive and energy healer and a certified body code practitioner. She identifies and clears energetic imbalances within the body and energy field. Contact Ellie at the website below, and Ellie can work remotely from a distance, by phone, online, video chat. There's no need to travel to an office. Remember, the body code is safe for humans and animals. Contact Ellie today.
All right, we are back here with Lee Hampel. He is a hayfield farmer in Elkhorn, and has a lot of weird stuff happening on your property. I believe in the Beast of Bray Road, we have a comment here on Expedition X. The eye shine they caught looked like a bobcat to me. Lee, you remember watching that episode?
Sure. I've never, in 10 years, I've never caught a bobcat on my camera. But so I've never seen a bobcat up there. Only thing I've ever caught are possums, skunks, raccoons, coyotes, deer, and I have pictures of the creature too. Sometimes he's far away, sometimes he's close, and I've seen it twice. So I've never seen a bobcat there, although there may be bobcat in southern Wisconsin. I'm not sure. So yeah, I don't know what they saw. They went into the west woods, the woods west of my property, and I know they were over there. I was standing up at my shed looking out after they had talked to me, and then they went out, and I saw, and they were over there. So I think she was off of Bray Road when she saw those eyes. Mm-hmm. But the eyes I saw in May 5th of 2017, when I saw it on Bowers Road, it was next to the road, and the eye shine was bright reddish orange, orangish red, I guess. And it was like 3 feet off the ground. And when I turned out my driveway, and probably about 200 feet down the road, well, it was 200 feet, I saw these 2 red eyes looking at me, and I go, okay, that's not a deer, it's not a coyote, And then the next thing, it was down the embankment. Well, that embankment I measured is 4.5 feet tall, and the grass on May 5th, 2017 was a foot tall. So it's looking at me over the top of this grass, which would be 5.5 feet, would be the height of the grass that was over, or the embankment and the grass. And then it just leaped like 15, 20 feet, and I saw 1 red eye out out in the field, and then immediately another 15, 20 feet, and I saw another red eye out in the field. And that the luminosity of those eyes, to me, didn't have a meter, but that it stayed the same whether it was up next to the road or out in the road. The eyes that I saw were very round, and the eyes that she saw were very round. So I'm not sure if a bobcat's eyes are round like that, but the eyes I saw were very round.
Yeah, I would tend to believe you on that, because I know, like, personally, I know a lot more about stuff that you've done out there, but you have, like you said, a ton of trail camera photos out there. So if you haven't caught an animal on the property, I would be very leaning to believe that it doesn't exist on that property. As far as a natural creature. Yeah.
Right. I've had 1 to 3 cameras out for the last 10 years. I move them around. I face them north. I move them all around, face them different directions. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you haven't caught something on your property, I would say it's probably not when we're talking about, like, these, because as you said, you've caught a lot of weird things
Yes.
on your trail camera as well. But as far as just natural animals that should or shouldn't be on your property, if you haven't caught it, I highly doubt that it lives out there.
And I agree. I agree, because I put out 20 deer, and if bobcat would have been in the area, they would have been over checking out my deer. I put out 20 roadkill deer.
I did find, I was looking through some of your other pictures, and I know that you had talked about this one as well. I wanted to bring it up. This is your right-handed turn of the footprints.
Yeah. I've seen this for probably numerous times. They just walk along and they'll take a right angle. Now, I have coyotes out there, and they take kind of right angles. They take rounded. They'll round it, and they have a lot of footprints. I took my dog. I have a dog here in Wakanda, and I took him, tried to make him make a right angle, a 90-degree angle, and his feet are going all over the place. and if you look at this actually two of the creatures came in my field this particular time. This was 2015, and they both came in 2-foot steps, and the one went across my field with 4-foot steps, and the other one turned right. He was coming towards me here. That's the direction of the track, and he turned right and went along my fence line. But if you look at the tracks and say, okay, we're going to be bipedal, there's no way a 4-legged animal can do this. If you look at the top track, which would be, let's say that'd be the right foot. That'd be the right foot. Now look at how the toe has come out. It came out at a slight angle. That foot had to get to the bottom, the first foot in the bottom leg of that right triangle, that right angle, the bottom leg. That foot had to get from there over to there. So he pulled it out at a slight angle to put it into that placement there. Correct. Yeah, I like that little light. Good. Now, if you look at the vertex foot, and that's rounded. See how it's rounded on the side there? Because he had to pull that foot out to get over to the second foot on the bottom leg of the right angle. That foot had to go there. And so if you would get up and try to make a right angle, you're going to pull that left foot out at an angle, or you're going to round that to get over to the second step in the bottom leg. And biologically, it exactly fits a bipedal animal taking a right 90-degree corner. And you can't dispute that. That's absolute mathematical fact that's how a bipedal animal would take that right corner. And there's not 4 legs there. Mm-hmm. He's walking upright on my field. He's in my field, Barnaby. He's walking around my field.
I know he is. I've been there.
Tracks are facts. He's walking around my field. Gee.
Oh man, yeah. If you want to see, we did a whole investigation. As I said, it's on our YouTube channel, Wisconsin Caps. On YouTube, it is the Wisconsin Skinwalker Ranch episode. And we show some of these pictures. We have a lot more pictures and stuff as well, and video, and our whole investigation of your property. And you can hear a lot more stories in that. Lee, I wondered what, since we were there, what have you had happen? Anything significant? Or, I know that you're always doing stuff out there. You had Expedition X out there. I know a few other investigators that have been out to your property and done work and stuff. Have you had any other cool, interesting stuff happen?
Yeah, I mean, Travel Channel was there. Paranormal Declassified, Chasing Skinwalkers was there in February of 2019, and that's a good show. They did a good job with it. Expedition X was there, I think, in 2020. I think that came out in 21 or 22. But I'm not sure.
So, yeah.
They did a series of 2 episodes on the Beast of Bray Road, or I think they called it American Skinwalker. The first one, what's the first episode, which I'm in, and they come to my farm. I mean, they do find a 5-toed 7-pad track out there. They have LiDAR. They show it on the show. They do find some eyes that are red. Now, I don't know about bobcats' eyes being red, but the only eyes out there that I ever see are yellow or green, and that's coyotes and deer, and you'll see a raccoon or something like that some nights when you're out there. So she saw red eyes. They had some very good evidence, and they had my evidence. But then the second episode, they go someplace on some lake which got airboats, and the only place that is up by Whitewater, and find a deer that's been eaten, and they say it was eaten by wolves. I don't know if there are wolves up there, but they're nowhere near Bray Road. And then he comes to the conclusion that it's a wolf. I mean, he went off the rails. He should have stopped after the first episode and said, I don't know what it is. But yeah, so they were there. I saw it May 11th, 2021. I have some pretty good pictures of it with this iPhone I'm looking at now here. I pulled the back part of my property May 11th, 2021 to check my SD cards. And I looked over in the neighboring field, and there he was. I knew it right away. Turns out he was a quarter mile away, 0.22 miles away. So I took pictures. I didn't take video with my iPhone because the video is, I think, like 4 megapixels, and I think the pictures are 12 megapixels. Well, they are. And I wanted as clear a picture as possible. With a video, you just would see a brown blob. And so I took a series of pictures for 3 minutes, and he was crouched down. What I saw was he was crouched down, and then he stood up, walked west towards the woods, and then when he got to the edge of the woods, he dropped down on all fours and went into the woods. And that's what shows on my pictures. I'm not letting those out yet. I'm really in discussion with History Channel right now with a series, 8-episode series. So they've offered me a good deal if it goes through. It's got to go through committees and stuff, but we could make a good show. But in the pictures, then that's in the pictures show him crouched down, standing up, walking west, dropping all fours. And I have a picture of that, and then going into the woods. Now he is a quarter mile away. Your iPhone 11, which I have, is not really designed for that, but they are there. The one picture where he's standing up walking, you can see the 2 legs on the bottom in those creatures. He was big. I have a friend who I work with. He was with pictures. He was a cameraman, I guess, in California. Now he's in Chicago. And maybe you have an app like this, Barnaby. But he said send him the picture, and the app would take into account the focal length and all that, and would tell me how big that figure is. And the app said it was 6.5 to 7 feet tall, and the shoulders were 3 to 3.5 feet wide.
That's a big dog.
Yeah, he was big. So then I called my brother, and I said, stay on the phone. I'm going to walk over there. I just saw the Beast of Bray Road, and I walked over there talking to my brother, and I told him, I go, okay, if this guy comes out, and just call the coroner, and I'll become Wisconsin folklore, but but I was talking, okay, if you're in there, knock on the wood, but I didn't hear it. But when I got over there, here were the 5-toed, 7-pad tracks, 3 feet apart. He was. I don't know if he saw me but when he was going to the woods, he was taking a 3-foot step. But where he had crouched down, he was drawing circles in the dirt, and I have pictures of that. He drew circles in the dirt, where he was crouched down. And then I just had one stride, but and we walked over the woods. So that was 2021. Yeah, I mean, I put out this last summer. I thought, well, I'll put out wind chime, so I put out a shepherd's hook, and so it was there and in front of the camera and everything, and I had wind chime on it. I came back. He bent that shepherd's hook way over. That's like tensile steel, though, that thing, and he put a big bend in that shepherd's hook, and he turned to 180 and then bent it. I mean, I guess a person could hang on or something, and no pictures on the camera. It's right in front of the camera, and here it's straight, and then it's bent way over, and and there's no pictures in the camera, which has happened dozens and dozens and dozens of times. The deer will be there, the mist will come, the deer's gone, no pictures. Dozens of times. I should have, I don't know, dozens of pictures of this creature right in front of my camera, picking up deer, bending that was in July of this year, bending the shepherd's hook. I mean, numerous pictures. I should have dozens of pictures of it. But yeah, the activity, there's been lots of tracks this summer, lots of tracks this fall. Two ladies saw it in August. They saw it in the neighbor's field. They saw it fairly close to where I had seen it in 2021. They have some pictures. They took a video, so you basically see a brown blob, because you just don't get good megapixels with a video. My neighbor lady, I was up there November, and she came over, and she has a stable right across the road. You probably the stable right down the road. And she came over and she said, if you had anything with the beast? I go, well, I haven't seen it since, May 11th, 2021. And she said, yeah, two of my clients saw it. One saw it they saw it a week apart on Bowers Road when they were heading home after being at the stable. It was on south of my farm on Bowers Road. So they both saw it cross the road right in front, right within the lights of their truck. They were different times. They were two different people, and they both saw it cross the road right in front of their truck in the lights, and both saw it. Their stories are exactly the same. Very tall, hairy, and it looked like it had a dog face, and went across the road right in front of their truck. So it's been very active this fall. Yeah.
Wow. Before we go any further here, I wanted to point out something that, first of all, a lot of people think that, Elkhorn and Bray Road and stuff where this thing is, wooded and stuff. But in fact, the only woods that are really in the area is right on the back of your property. And it's a very small, privately owned piece of wooded land there. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that all along both Bray Road and Bowers Road there, that is all private property. So anybody that's listening to this and stuff, this is not something that you can go out there and, walk around on people's properties and go look for this stuff. Please don't do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Everybody does it. Everybody drives up and down these roads. Don't make a big deal out of it. Drive down, make a circle, head home. You don't need to be causing traffic jams and stuff, or pulling onto people's properties, or doing stuff like that. Everybody in there is obviously well aware of this thing there, and just is tired of having people drive up and down the road. But definitely, it's a draw. People are going to go out there, be respectful. So, I wanted to ask you though, beyond that, when you saw this thing in the field, you saw it stand up, correct? Like on two legs.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you said it was brown.
It was brownish black. It wasn't real black.
Okay.
Yeah. It was brownish black.
Kind of like maybe like a German Shepherd kind of coloring.
No, a little bit deeper than that. Well, there's some
Okay.
German Shepherds that are pretty deep brown. Yeah.
Okay.
A deep brown German Shepherd could be that color. Yes.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering is when people have these sightings and that you've talked to around this area, is it only ever one that they see, or have there ever been sightings of more than one, like two or more at a time?
That's a good question. Everybody I know of, I mean, I've talked to, I could stand it. You can stand in front of my barn. I could point to 5 farms that I've seen it. No, just single. Nobody's seen 2 at a time.
That's interesting.
That's a good question.
If we're talking about like an animal that is natural, like a wolf or a coyote or any kind of what we would consider a non-paranormal, natural biological animal here, which it kind of seems like this it's eating, it's in the area and stuff like that. You're gonna have to have a breeding population of these things. And with that being said, it's interesting that you don't see more than one of these at a time, being that, most canines are pack animals.
Yeah, it doesn't live here. I mean, you can, I mean, no, I don't know how many times I'll be tracking in the snow and also in the dirt, and it just stops.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more tracks. I'm standing looking at 2 tracks and looking at a track and looking at all the snow and there's no track, or it'll just start. You'll walk along and all of a sudden you'll see 2 tracks side by side, like a foot apart, and they're landed, and then it walks off. Well, this thing didn't parachute in. It didn't walk along and then all of a sudden, I don't know, to have a jetpack on its back and lift itself off the snow right away. It just doesn't live here. I mean, I have some pictures of it materializing, and within a second in front of my camera, there's nothing there. Then there's a translucent image there, which appears to have a head and shoulders and a body. And then the next picture, which is a third of a second later, because I have the camera set so it takes 3 pictures, a burst of 3 in a second, and it's a solid figure there. So it materialized right in front of my camera. I have pictures of that. So, and I don't know if it eats because it takes, it'll cut off the front quarter and take that away, or it'll cut off the head and take that away. It has tools because it definitely it'll cut a quarter off of a deer and just carry it away. It also will carry away a deer that's all maggots. It'll be all maggots, been out there for 2 weeks. It's all maggots. It carries the whole thing away. So I don't know if it's eating these deer or just takes parts and carry it away. And coyotes, if I go out there when I could put deer out, the DNR stopped me in 2016 because of chronic wasting disease. But I had already put out 20 deer. But I mean, here's it's all maggots, and then the whole deer and all the bones, everything are all gone. They pick them up and carry them away. Coyotes, you go out there and the back end is eaten. Where the coyotes, they'll eat the best meat first, which is the rump area, and then I'll look at my camera and I'll have pictures of the coyote eating on the deer. I'll go out there and the front quarter is cut off and taken away, and I'll have a black mist or a white mist or no pictures. The front quarter is there, and the deer is there. Then the front quarter is gone, and it happened. It was very, very repeatable. Of course, science works on repeatable experiments, and that's one of my goals was to do experiments that were repeatable, and it has been that.
Absolutely. I wanted to show one picture here. I know there's a whole story with the deer that's tied to the tree and all that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to I wanted to show this one picture with this weird bone or tool that's coming out of there, and kind of invite anybody that's listening or watching to try and explain what it is. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
So I wanted to show this picture and kind of see if anybody that's, watching or listening can, and this is pretty graphic, but just so you're aware. So this is a deer, and when you were trying to get the evidence of this thing, it's actually ratchet strapped to a tree so that they couldn't just take it away. But
What
right here, sorry, what?
which was later cut, and they took the deer away. So
Correct.
they
Yeah,
cut.
there's a whole story of these deer.
Yeah, yeah. There's 20 deer, and everyone has a story. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of that is covered in our episode. If you want to know more, go check that out. But this one in particular, you can see here, there is this weird bone that is protruding out here. And
Well, it's just
this is
really
kind
just
of,
laying there. Yeah, it's just laying there. Yes.
yeah, but this right here is almost fused. This is kind of a bad quality image of this, but I think I have a better one in a second here. But this is like, it's not a joint. It's almost fused together in this area.
Yeah, it is fused together. Yes.
It's not a bone.
No. No. And if you look up further, it's got a hook on it up further, and appears to be sharpened. And if you look inside
Oh,
the
up in here.
deer, all the innards have been pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no innards inside that deer. They were all pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I took that picture, and I was mainly interested because the innards were gone, and I just assumed. I guess I assumed that I did assume that that was a leg, but it's. Then I looked at the pictures later, like a week or so later. I saw look at these pictures. And I go, that's not a leg.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a leg. There's not a joint. There you look at a deer skeleton. None of them have a hook like that on it. And so then I went right back up there, but it was gone, and the deer had been moved some, and actually the I think no the head of that deer stayed, but then it was actually gone. So it came back and got that tool.
I think I have.
There's no question that that's not a bone. You can look at deer skeleton and it fits no bone. Well, that's not a joint. That's a fused segment.
There's the other picture. Okay, here's a better picture of that. So that shows a little bit better, a little clearer there, that you can see that is not a joint. That is just look at the size of this deer here. We saw in the full picture before. If that was a leg, this has got to be what, like 2 to 3 foot long there, Lee?
Oh, it's longer than that. It's longer than that, I think. Yeah, yeah.
So
I thought leg, right? I was looking at the deer and I thought that was a leg coming out, but I wish I had picked it up. But I got a picture of it. So sometimes things are lucky and sometimes you're not. But yes, yeah, it's. I think if you look at the deer's head's got to be like 18 inches. If you look from the ear to the muzzle, and that's just the top part of it. That thing's probably 4 foot long.
Mm-hmm. So basically what I'm saying is there shouldn't be a solid bone in this animal that is that long.
No. There isn't. No, there isn't.
It's just weird.
And plus, it really looks like to me that hook that's on there. You can see the hook up there.
Yeah,
you got that's good. I don't know if they pushed it in there because all the innards of the deer were gone. I looked up in there, and I was right by that thing, and I just thought, okay, that's a leg, And I should have picked. I looked up there, and I went back, a short time later, and it was gone. But anyway, I got a picture. But I think it was that. They cut the head off of a deer. And I took that deer to my friend I bowl with it. He's a butcher for a grocery store, a grocery chain. And I look, he doesn't know anything. And I said, "Here, would you look at this deer?" I said, "What would have cut the head off of this deer?" And he looked at where the a vertebrae had been severed, and how the bone was cut. And he said, well, that's got to be a cleaver. Somebody had to use a cleaver to cut the head off of that deer. Well, Barnaby, if there's somebody running around my field with a cleaver,
you got more problems.
yeah. So that's a butcher who's been in the business for years. He said the only way that head could, by looking at the cut on the vertebrae. And I think you saw that deer, right? Did you see that deer?
The one in your shop, the bones that were left of it.
Yeah. He said that's got to be a cleaver. To cut it that clean, a knife, he said, you would have wouldn't be that clean. It wouldn't be, it would have more. There'd actually be knife marks trying to work through it. He said that's got to be a cleaver. So it has tools, and I think I have a picture of the tool there. Yes.
Just absolutely fascinating stuff out there, man. And, just weird stuff. And we haven't even scratched the surface of it. I know you have a whole thing that you call the funny guys on your property of these weird creatures and things. And some of them I would honestly say are explainable, but there are definitely some stuff that, I mean, I don't want to share all the pictures and stuff here, but I mean, some of them I've gone into a lot of work and trying to look at, and I still have no explanation. I mean, there was the one that I thought was either a bat maybe or a bird, but the rest of them, I mean, there's no explanation for some of the stuff that you've got out there, and it just goes on and on.
I mean, there could be the pterodactyl. I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point too. Yeah,
that's not a bird.
No, yeah, but where are there any? Oh, here we go. So I don't know how close that you got to look at this, but Lee would like to know, were there any tooth marks on the one that you had the tool next to it? So we're talking about that same deer that we just looked at. Here, we can go back and find that picture.
No, that deer was there. The coyotes never came to that deer. And that's not unusual. If the creature is there and the deer is being manipulated in a way that is not coyote-like. I mean, if you look at this deer and look at the back end, it's not eaten at all. And and you can see the front quarter there has been taken off. That I think that's the right front quarter. Well, okay, it went away now.
Hang on one sec.
Okay.
I was bringing up the big picture of it.
Yeah, see the rear end. They pulled. I have it. That's of course the strap there. They pulled so hard that they actually dislocated the rear joint. The rear joint there. That joint's dislocated on that deer. They pulled it so hard, and the front quarter. You can zoom in on the front quarter where. Not just on the skin part. See the skin. See they would do that. That's a circular cut. That's not chewed, and then the front quarter is gone. And when this is occurring, during the time that this is occurring, and I go out there and it's not coyote, the coyotes don't come there. They never came near that deer, and many of the deer that had activity early on with the creature, with the beast, the coyotes didn't come. Now, if it was there for a couple 3 days, and there was no activity from the creature, the beast, and then the cows would come and they'd eat. And you go there and you see the cows, they ate on the butt. They ate the rump area, or they'd eat the interns, but they eat the interns coming from the back. They don't have a tool and pull them through the front, They eat them from the belly under. So, and then I would have pictures of coyotes. I mean, I have coyotes there, but no, there was no chew marks on that deer.
Yeah, we were talking about, I had a picture here. There we go. So
eventually that strap was cut and that deer was taken away.
Yeah, we were talking about the pictures. This is a coyote here on one of your trail cameras.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about so this trail cam was just inside a little bit of woods on the edge of the property there, looking out at all of these deer that you had were pretty much in the same spot, right?
I had them in an area about. I had the 20 deer in an area that was about 60 feet. They were in an area. Yeah. This was a deer that was out in the field. Yeah.
Right. So, but right here, like we said, you see a coyote. If a coyote had come and done that, it would have triggered the trail camera, just like this coyote did.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And you can see he's eating the belly. He's eating the rump area,
Mm-hmm.
which is common. I mean, that's what. It's kind of a funny looking coyote, but
It
now
is.
he
kind of looks like a pig.
Yeah, but now look what you have behind the coyote. What do you have behind the coyote?
Oh yeah. That's why we have this picture here. This is the weird beam of light here going across.
I have thousands of pictures of beams of light. Yes, but you have this one here, and look at it. It hits the back end of him a little bit, and you have some other ones there where it hits his legs and stuff. But that's a coyote. That's a weird looking coyote. But yeah, see his beam coming there, and this is a half mile. There's no electrical poles. This is a half mile from Bowers Road and a quarter mile from Bray Road. There's no houses out there. There's no barns out there. It's a very isolated area in the back of my farm. Yeah, but yet here you have a light going across the ground, a shaft of light. Well, where's that coming from? But there's a picture of it, so it's there.
Yep, absolutely.
You should have some more. You should have. Do you have the next one in that series?
I have this one. This one's got the shaft of light going vertically.
Oh yeah, there's the shaft. Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
I have that thousands of pictures of that. Right. See, and the thing about that shaft of light is.
Oh, and here, this is the next picture in the sequence. It's not there. It's got this weird like orb or whatever kind of up there that's shining this way. That could be maybe the moon or something, but then this picture, you almost have two of them here.
That's an orb. The moon. If you look at the other pictures in the sequence, there's no moon there. But see, look at that shaft of light. Well, yeah, that's an orb, moving orb. I have hundreds of videos of moving orbs. You saw those, yeah, you saw those. But that shaft of light, it is parallel sides. It doesn't have any cone shape to it. The guy who looks at some of my pictures looks at this and he goes, Lee, there's no way you didn't get this without CGI. There's no way you could have this out in the field. I said, how could you possibly make this picture? He said, you'd have to get a plexiglass tube, 2 foot in diameter about, and have a quarter mile plexiglass tube, fill it full of smoke, and then put the light source on one end of that. He said, that's the only way you could create this, have this image out in your field, unless you CGI'd it. I said, well, check it. And I don't know if it's this one or no, but he checks them all the time. He goes, oh, okay, Lee, there's no Photoshop or no CGI to this. He said, but you cannot have this picture in your field. There's no way. This has to be laser, and it's way too big for any laser that we have in our technological field. But I have thousands of pictures of these things.
Yeah, and you were talking about being completely dark out there. I mean, your hayfield is very big. One of the things that we did out there was we took all of our EMF meters, our Geiger counters, our I don't remember, all of our different detectors and stuff. And me, Derek, and Ma literally walked the entire width and length of the field back and forth in a grid pattern across it, looking for anomalies and stuff like that. And it took us probably, I want to say it was like 3 hours that day just to do that, to walk the entire field back and forth. It is at least, I don't know, obviously how big it is, but it's at least like the size of
it's a half mile by a quarter mile.
Yeah. So it's a big property, big hayfield. So there's no light out there.
Right. There's no light out there. Interesting story. Adam Davies. I don't know if you know him.
I do know Adam. Yeah.
Okay. Adam Davies, and a lady, I forgot her name. They came and stayed in October of this year. They came and said October this year.
Okay.
And they just stayed in their car out there, and they had lights, and they had some other things and some noises and, howling and some things. But when they left, I went out there, and the next morning, and they were packing up and getting ready to go and stuff, and we were talking about what they had, and he has a video on YouTube of what it was. It's on YouTube. But
Okay.
when I went out later with my ATV, just to, this would have been October of 2022, and there was a EMF meter there laying on the ground, which they had inadvertently dropped. So they said they hadn't got any readings. Now, so I took it on my four-wheeler, and I started driving along my west fence line. And I got right to the southwest corner, and it started to register. Now, I don't know what, I put it on 3 different settings. They have mu on there, they have alpha on there, they have these settings. I'm sure you know what they mean. And I'm watching it. All of a sudden, it just goes right to OL. And so that's overload, right?
Well, an EMF meter, well, depending which style you have, are you talking, is it a tri-field meter?
I know, is there a way I can send you a picture?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. I get, yeah, I had a bunch of settings. He says I sent it back to him. He says a very expensive meter.
It's probably a tri-field meter. It would have, if you have a knob on there that you can spin.
Yes.
It's probably a tri-field meter then. So yeah, okay.
Okay. I put in all 3 settings on that meter, and I stayed at that corner for a half hour. And on each setting, after a little bit, it would start to elevate the numbers. And all 3 settings, it went to overload, went to OL within a half hour.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, your property is definitely interesting, and we had with all of our meters, we actually fried one of my memory cards in one of my GoPros on my head. I had not dangerous radiation, but I did get a very small radiation spike. It was towards the back half of your field, kind of almost in the middle.
Okay.
There was like some yellowing of the ground there as well, one of those patches at the time. And I had the small radiation spike, and it was about that same time that my memory card on the camera went. And then also we corrupted one of our IR cameras on our security system. And we totally fried the infrared lens of that camera, that it doesn't work at all anymore. So
I've had in 1 week, let's say 2 weeks, I had 3 Moultrie cameras. All of their IRs went, the IR lens dropped down and would not go, they stayed down.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did in 3 weeks, or in 2 weeks, 3 cameras all went bad. And I called Moultrie, and they said, go in a dark room and do this 10-second thing and this and this. And I did that with all of them. None of them ever worked again. And that was, I think, 2018, sometime in there. And all 3 cameras did the IR froze, the lens froze down, right.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Let me ask you this. Was it pointed, which would be east towards your barn?
One was, I had put one up by my barn to face out to the field.
Okay.
I had one in my barn because I was seeing if something came in that particular time. And I had one on the west fence line.
Okay.
And all 3 of those, within 2 weeks, all 3 of those cameras, the IR lens froze down.
Yeah, ours, we had the 4 security cameras on the van running, and then we had 4 pointed up at the sky the night that we were out there. And the one that would have been pointing straight, like up over your barn from the middle of the field, that's the one that went bad.
Yeah, and see, and two of mine, At that time, I had 2 up by my barn at that time, and 1 out in the west on the west fence line. And and I have a new UFO that's come about 3 times now. It's a crazy UFO. It looks like an Easter egg thing, and it changes the date and time on when that thing come for the first time it came. It changed the date and time on my camera. It was there for 4 hours. The second time it came, it just came and was there for the camera. I took pictures because they would be false triggers because I don't know if it has heat. I don't know, but it was like a quarter mile away. It was over by the woods, but it took cameras. It took pictures for about 4 minutes. Now that it may have been there longer, but that's all my camera took pictures. The first time it took pictures, a lot of pictures for 4 hours. Then it came in December again, and my camera, it was 1:46 in the afternoon, and it looks like an Easter egg. It's a weird UFO, and excuse me, my camera thought it was nighttime and dropped the IR lens down, and it took a picture. So now it's not a reflection, or it's not a refraction of light or anything like that, because now the IR lens is down and you can still see it in that particular picture. Then it took another picture about 10 minutes later, and it just took a normal picture of it with the IR lens was back up. So for some reason that camera thought it was nighttime for the one picture.
Jeez.
That was December. Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I know when we were there, we hadn't, I don't remember you telling me about the IR cameras messing up on your trail cameras, but
I may not have. That could have been later. It could have been after you guys were there. You were there, 3 years ago? Yeah. I think it was later. I think it was, could have been the summer of 2020 or sometime, but yeah.
Man, I tell you, the stuff that we're talking about sounds absolutely crazy. Like if I hadn't been there and experienced some of the stuff that we had, it's hard for anybody that hasn't experienced the stuff to understand or believe it. But I guarantee you everything that we're talking about, I 100% believe you, Lee, because I mean we've had our own experiences there that I can't explain either. So
well, yeah, I'm not going to hoax anything. I wouldn't have any interest in that whatsoever, and have no desire, and I wouldn't even know how to do that. I don't know how to Photoshop. I have no interest in that. I have a strong interest in determining if, in mathematics says there's multi-universes. Is this proof of multi-universes in my field? Because there's no reason, it's not like I don't think there's a big magnetic field there. I've had magnetometers and they haven't done anything unusual. The EMF meters, people have had EMF meters, and like the ones I had, they have had experiences. Yours didn't, but other people have. But I have no interest I wouldn't even have an interest in that whatsoever. I was a teacher, and that's just not my makeup at all. I wouldn't even have that's so far out of the realm of anything I would think about. Plus, I'm not this creative. I can't think of all this stuff. Geez.
Yeah, definitely. It's not. I mean, like let's for 1 second say that you were hoaxing this stuff. This is way more overkill. Like you live on Bray Road. All you got to do is say that the Beast of Bray Road comes on your property, and okay, cool, we have a story, but the amount of other random, we have not even scratched the surface of some of the stuff that's gone there. And, to spend your time and hoax all this random stuff is beyond, you don't have enough time to come up with this stuff.
No. I go out there. I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen. I picked up my cameras February 4th. 2 cameras, a stealth camera, which is a very good camera, and a multi camera. I put them out on January 22nd. There's pictures of me putting on the camera of me putting them up, setting them up and I put one on the west fence line, one's on the north fence line. One's facing west, one's facing south. Okay. February 4th, I go back to get them. I pulled my snowmobile up in front of them, walked up to them. Well, okay, walked up to them and took out the SD cards and replaced the SD cards. Come back home, put it in my computer, see what's on these SD cards. There's pictures of me putting it up. There's a couple pictures afterwards, false triggers. There's no picture taken by either camera after January 23rd. No pictures of me pulling up in front of a snowmobile. And I had snowmobiled by them before. Like on the 29th, I was out there and I had gone around with actually the ATV at that time. And I went around with the truck, drove in front of them. No pictures. They both quit working on the 23rd of January. They worked for about 24 hours. And then they never took a picture. They like I say, neither one. So, I mean, that's just crazy. 2 cameras, a Stealth and a Moultrie that are quarter mile apart, and they both quit working at very approximately the same time. And neither one takes a picture of me walking up to them to replace the SD cards. So I don't know if they're working now or not. I haven't been able to get out there because I'm going to try and get out there on Thursday and get the SD cards. But, you know, it's tough time now with, you know, if it's snow, then I can take my snowmobiles, or if I can take my 4-wheelers, but it's too muddy now. So I'll see. But yeah, that just happened last week. 2 cameras totally quit working.
Oh man.
And they were working. They were working when I walked away because there's pictures of me walking away. Yeah. So yeah, I know.
I don't know.
There's too much stuff I couldn't even think about. You know, of course, I don't know. I showed you the picture of that SD card that had KPEG files and all these different files on it, and the times were all messed up. Did I ever show you the picture of that one? That's when I bought that Stealth camera. So that would have been 2021. The files are all got KPEG files on it, and the dates, it goes up to 2036. And I sent it to Stealth, and I said, "Here, you know, how'd your camera do this?" He said, and the guy said, "Our camera didn't do that. There's no way our camera did that." I said, "Was in your Stealth camera."
I have a card just like that right here, out of a trail camera.
You
not off of your property, but a different property.
Okay, cool.
And it looks like the files are written in Alien or something. They're just not even characters you can type on a keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of mine are like that. Yes, correct. They got rectangles and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
He said somebody came and took that SD card out of your camera and put it in a computer and changed because the name was changed and a bunch of stuff was changed, and the KPEG files are from the 90s, and that was 2021, and it was actually snow, and nobody walked up to my camera. You had to get out there in a snowmobile, and there were no tracks going out there. So yeah, so you got one there. So wherever that one came from. So, yeah,
that one came from Upper Michigan. So
okay, yeah. And I don't think, you know, like you know, and I don't try to follow other places, or I just don't have the time. An interest would be there, but I don't have the time. I'm focused on my property. But you know of other hot spots, or whatever you want to call them, or they're supernatural or paranormal hot spots where these things occur. You know, and there's got to be a reason. I mean, I do have pictures of portals, so I know that portals have opened up on my property. So there's got to be a reason to be located in an area like east of Elkhorn on a farm. And, you know, I mean, you know, the whole area there is, people have seen it, and nobody else has done, you know, the studies like I have done. And so if you went to a farm half mile down the road and did the same thing, would you get similar results? Possibly, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Have you heard any of other than the Dogman, have you heard any weird stories of lights and orbs and all that stuff on their properties?
Yeah. The one gentleman who he lives a half mile, well, probably about a mile down the road. His wife saw it. His wife and mother-in-law saw it in 2010 on Bray Road, on Bowers Road, 4:30 in the afternoon, stand in the middle of the road, and then jumped from the middle of the road to the cornfield, a 20-foot jump, and they both saw it. He saw, I think 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have to talk to, but he was standing in his yard, and he's a mile south of me. And he said this orange orb came out of the woods, which is across the field from his farm. And he watched that orange orb. He said it came all the way across the field. Then it turned and went over to another field. I said, "How big was this orange orb?" He said, "Oh, looked like a basketball coming across the field. I mean, it was big, So I mean, he saw an orb, and I've seen orbs out there. So the area has this paranormal, supernatural activity. Why is it focused here? I mean, there doesn't appear to be any. If people go, well, it's a burial ground and stuff. Well, there are burial mounds all over Wisconsin. Yes, there's one on Bray Road, but they're all over Wisconsin, and this doesn't. It's a hard question to answer, and you have this from I know Michigan's had places. Well, you know places, and I hear about them, and Skinwalker Ranch.
Absolutely. All right, Lee, we are just about out of time here. I know that you had a website that you had some of your evidence and stuff on. Do you still have that up?
Yeah, the blog should still be up. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
was really hard to put stuff on, but yeah.
That was leehampelhayfield.com, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. I will put a link to that on the Monday Morning Monsters Facebook page if anybody's interested. And I really appreciate your time coming on, and best of luck with all of your stuff with the History Channel. And I'm pretty excited for all that.
No, I very much enjoyed it. It's very enjoyable to talk with someone who has interest, and you're very enjoyable to talk with. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always said that, after our first investigation, we never came back because, I don't want to waste your time. I had nothing more to offer you. And now we have a lot more equipment, and
sure.
I have some pretty interesting thoughts in mind. So I'll talk to you later and see if we can come back out sometime. And
you're very welcome.
And, try some stuff. So
sure.
Awesome. Well, I would definitely appreciate it. So
no problem.
Awesome. All right, Lee. So take care, man.
Take care. Have a great day.
A great year, great time, and we'll talk to you later, Lee.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care, you guys. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
All right, guys, that is our show for today. Lee Hampel, our amazing guest, a very humble man, a former teacher that's just looking for answers out there of what the heck is going on his property. And he's been on numerous TV shows, as we talked about. So if you want to know more, go check it out. I mean, you just got to search for it online, and you'll find everything you want to know about Lee and his hayfield out in Bray Road. That is it for our show. So until next time, guys, we'll see you out there. Thanks for watching. I did not get the credits ready. I am a huge disappointment to Todd. I am so sorry. See you.